Welcome to Ita See the World. Today we are very honored and very happy to have our special guest who is from the very far north of Europe. He's Johan Ailo, the CEO of NRK Sápmi, and also is our supportive member and our friend of WITBN. And today he's going to share with us about how Sápmi media to use different platforms to promote and preserve Sápmi language and culture. So, bolas, Johan.
Bolas.
Bolas. First, can you say hi to our audience and briefly introduce yourself?
Bolas puhukt Taiwana alkoalmagat tällä huisoma seistön dikkide huuma ja lähtäpä ohpas nuvat din almagin tällä myös hui soma ja anandan hui arvus ja valtandan rohtulottejan almag. I say hi, dear friends of the Taiwanese indigenous peoples. I'm honored to be here. It has been such a pleasure staying in Taiwan and your homelands, and I take back much values back to Sápmi when I return, and I have learned a lot about your peoples and cultures.
Thank you, Johan. And today you also wear your traditional clothing, Sápmi clothing, right? Can you introduce to us as well the meaning of the Sápmi clothing?
That's true. This is a traditional regalia which we wear for bigger occasions, and this particular wearing is marks that it's from my hometown, Godgeitno, which is in very far north of Europe, on the Norwegian side of the border. That's one of the few towns where the Sápmi culture is in majority. So this is what we wear when we want to be really nice.
Yeah, and you made it yourself, or it's made from your parents?
No, this is made from one of the towns. Duojar, we call the handicrafters for Duojar, so she's the one who made that. I wouldn't have.
It takes very special.
Yeah, it's very special. It takes very much time to produce
How
one.
long? Like
it
usually?
Would take for her. It wouldn't take more than days. If I would do it, I would take years.
It's all handmade, right?
All handmade, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is there any meaning of the pattern or the lines or the color?
Yeah, each family has its own pattern, so it has developed over time. So there are small details that will separate the different gaktis, which we call this wearing in.
So in Sápmi culture, is there any specific meaning of different color, like blue or red? Anything, any color that on the clothing?
Yeah, there is a meaning. The blue and the green and the yellow and the green. Those are the traditional colors that we use for everything. Green is, of course, like the nature, and yellow is the sun, and so forth.
And you also mentioned about your hometown. So are you growing up in your hometown? Yeah.
Yeah, I lived there until I was 16. Then I went to high school in a neighbor town, and after that I went to universities. But I returned back to my hometown 8 years ago. So
you're growing up in the environments that is surrounded by Sápmi language?
Yeah. So in my hometown, everyone speaks the Sápmi language.
So how many population, or how many people that can speak Sápmi language in your hometown?
3,000 people live in my hometown. So, and altogether, there may be between 20 and 30,000 people speaking the Sápmi language.
Nowadays?
Nowadays, yeah.
So, and also Sápmi people, like you mentioned, there are different groups, right? And located in the different countries like Finland, Norway, and Sweden, and also Russia, right? Can you share with us about the details of distribution of location of Sápmi people?
Yeah. Well, we're divided by 4 countries, as you say. The Samis live in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and even in Russia, the Kola Peninsula. In Norway, maybe half of the Samis live in Norway, maybe 10,000 in Sweden. Those are rough estimates because we don't have any official register over the Sami population. Maybe at 2,000 in Russia and 5,000 in Finland. Those are really rough estimates. So we're not quite sure how many people we are.
And in terms of the Sami language, is there also like dialects or different language within the Sami language? And how many?
Yeah, we have altogether we have 10 different languages from the south, South Samis, to northern Samis and the eastern Samis in Russia. So yeah.
But you still can communicate with each other.
No, we can't.
We can't.
So if I were to meet a South Sami, we wouldn't be able to communicate with northern and southern Sami. So they're really different.
Very different. Okay. And in the Sami region, how do you identify yourself? Who has the rights to define the Sami identity?
That's a tricky question. Yeah, and it causes a lot of debate. Well, in order we have our own Sami parliament.
Yes.
In both in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Unfortunately, Russia doesn't have.
Yeah.
In Norway, the definition to be able to have voting right for the parliament, you need to identify yourself as a Sami. And the second criteria is that one of your grandparents would have the Sami language as their home language, because, well, the Sami people has been subject to very harsh assimilation from the 1850s. And due to that policies, many Samis have lost their languages, so therefore you need to go back some generations to be able to make some viable criteria.
So the Sami parliaments do have the rights to identify the Sami people?
Yeah, this has been subject to a lot of debate. So lately they have enforced stronger control over who is registered into the voting register.
So as we know that you are growing up in your hometown, and so we really would like to know that how do you build up your identity as being Sami people?
Well, myself, I was very lucky to grow up in Kuohutukeino, which is where the Samis are in a great majority. So the Sami language was a natural part of wherever I went through the school system. Back home, we spoke the Sami language among my friends everywhere. Sadly, that is not the case for all Sami children.
Yes.
Many grow up in cities nowadays and grow up in communities where the assimilation process was way more tough than in my hometown. So many Samis have lost their language and are not in the same situation. Regarding to identity, I would say that that's a big question and a very complex question. It's not only linked to the language. We have many more other aspects of identity. So some are raised up in a reindeer herding family and still don't talk the Sami language and still feel a strong Sami identity. Others well, they get their identity through other measures. That's a very personal question, and it's really different from person to person.
Yeah, it's kind of like a personal journey to find our identity. Yes, and I wonder that is there any like Sami language school? As you mentioned, language is one of the elements of building identity as a Sami people. So is there any like educational system to support younger generation to build up their identity?
Yeah, well, all Sami children have the right to get education in the Sami language in Norway, in the elementary school and throughout up to high school. So that is a right they have. Sadly, that is not always followed up due to many reasons. Due to resources, there are not enough Sami teachers, not the financial restrictions, and so forth. So there is a lot that has to be done yet to well, in order to revitalize the language.
And aside from the Sami language, how about the like traditional custom, like hunting, or like how a traditional way of cooking, or how do you like teach younger generation to do all this like traditional custom? It's based on family or school that can teach all this?
We would need many hours for me to
Sure,
describe
okay,
that properly. But well, traditional knowledge that is connected not only to hunting, but reindeer herding, to fishing, to duchi, to handicraft, and all many aspects of life and traditional living. That is sometimes thought, traditionally was taught by the parents. Nowadays you need to, well, we increasingly need to, that the school system takes responsibility, and many also take courses being adults and taking back aspects of the Sami culture. But that's also very personal, depends on the person. To what degree they want to learn their traditions.
So back to your like position in the NRK Sápmi, and when you joined the NRK Sápmi?
I joined the NRK Sápmi in September 2021.
2021 as a CEO?
As a CEO, yeah.
Wow, impressive. And can you briefly introduce about the NRK Sápmi, because in Taiwan we not quite familiar with this organization, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect people to be very familiar with NRK Sápmi.
But we really would like to know more about you.
Thank you. Yeah. So NRK Sápmi is one of the oldest Sami institutions that we have. It was established in 1946, 1 year after World War II. So I often reflect that tells something about how important people feel about having their own media in their own language. That's really important for them. Currently, we're approximately 80 employees.
80.
Yeah. So and we are broadcasting both TV and radio, and also have our own internet platforms, digital platforms. We produce content in 3 Sami languages, the Lula, the southern and the northern Sami languages. But it's also important for me to underline that we're part of NRK, which is the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation, or the Norwegian answer to BBC, if you like. We're a separate division or an entity within that structure. So we, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your audience is not just limited in the Sami audience, right? And also includes non-Sami audience, right?
Yeah, most of the content is directly aimed at the Sami population because, well, non-Samis wouldn't, of course, not listen to Sami-speaking radio programs and so forth. But lately we have put more priority into programs that are broadcasted on the national platforms. For instance, the National Day celebration. That is a program that is broadcasted on NRK's NRK1, which is the far largest and most popular TV channel in all Norway. That program is broadcasted at 8 o'clock, which is prime time, reaching a big share of the Norwegian population, and that is important for us to create understanding for Sami people amongst also the majority.
So I would like to ask, did you encounter any technical or operational challenges in the NRK Sápmi? Well, because your audience is not just for Sami people but also non-Sami people, so is there any challenges or struggles that you encounter?
Yeah, of course, when you produce content in the Sami language and is aiming to reach not only non-Sami people but also the Sami population that for various reasons doesn't speak the Sami language due to the assimilation process, then we need to use we use subtitlings, we use dubbing in some instances to be able to build bridges between the Sami-speaking and the non-Sami-speaking audiences.
And also, and I would like to ask what kind of strategies to get in touch with the younger generation of young Sami people. Is there any strategy?
Yeah, that's something that most broadcasters, media, are struggling with nowadays. The younger generation, they have so many opportunities, so many choices they could choose among. We're facing the same global competition as everyone else from Netflix and Disney and all that. So we have the first thing that is most important for us is that the content that we produce has to stand out in the competition. The quality has to be as good as what you would expect from the global competitors. So then we have done a lot of insight in order to understand the younger people, and now we are also putting more effort into understanding children, because children are very important in order to preserve the language.
Yes.
So we have done a lot of
children's show.
Pardon?
Children's show.
Children's show, yeah. So we have done a lot of in-depth interviews to understand what is really important for the young Samis.
Yeah.
And that's you asked a question about us being on the national platforms, where the majority is. That's something that the young Sami said, that it is important that we take our place in the national platforms and among them, so that our culture and our language is visible also for everyone else. It's not just hidden away on some less used platforms. And they also told us that because many Sami youth feel various that they are connected to the Sami culture in various degrees, and many feel that they are not good enough for the as a Sami, that they don't know the traditions well enough, that they don't know the language well enough. So hence they asked us or urged us to lower the threshold for participating part of Sami traditions, because that is important for them. So we did a lot of insight to understand what is important for them, to be able to reach them in the most effective way.
That's what we also doing right now in the TITV as well.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and can you show us share with us about like your children's show, like Bina Banas?
Bina Banas, yeah.
Yeah, Bina Banas, or the series that you produce in Ita Sápmi?
Yeah, Bina Banas is a really popular character that we developed a few years ago. It's a small reindeer, or reindeer calf, that speaks only Sami, but in both Lule Southern and North Sami, and it has been really popular among small children. So that's something that we put high priority to.
How about the series?
Yeah.
Is there any like movies or series that you produced for more like audience?
Yeah, we had made several TV series. The one that I showed yesterday was Förbannelsen, or the spell. So we were two characters traveling throughout Sápmi to find out different Sami myths and supernatural beliefs, you could say, yeah, that was hugely popular, not only among the Samis but also among the majority.
And also recently, you also work, Ita Sápmi also work with the ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, that was a funny example that I mentioned yesterday. That we have a young youth program that is published on YouTube, and they experimented with ChatGPT, to make an Easter song, and it produced this Easter song consisting of the keywords lavu, which is a Sami kind of tent or teepee, snowmobile, and yeah.
And just like you mentioned, that Ita Sápmi is actually based on the headquarters is in the Norway, right? Norway. And I would like to know that whether you cooperate or collaborate with other region of Sápmi media, like in Finland or in Sweden.
Yeah, because since we are divided between many countries, then it's important for us to collaborate with both Sweden and Finland, in order for us to stay united as one people.
Yes.
And hence we have a common news show, daily news show, that is broadcasted in all three countries simultaneously. And we also have radio shows, and we are currently putting more and more effort into expanding that collaboration into the new digital platforms, and that's really important for us, because the being divided means that if we don't do that, we are afraid that we will develop three different identities connected to those countries, and we want to stay as one.
Yes, it's very important to break the national border.
It's really important, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you so much, and we will take a break and then back to the show.